Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mehcast Reacts. Don't tell me Twitch didn't save what we were doing. Did Twitch not save what we were doing, guys? There we go. We're not playing Metal Gear Solid. Today, we are watching some Nostalgia Critic videos. We're doing the Spider-Man ones today.
Yep.
Although we're starting off with top 11 dumbest Spider-Man moments, and then we're going to be moving on to the Nostalgia Critic Old versus New Spider-Man, and then, depending on if we have time later on, we'll be moving on to the reviews of Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, and TASM 1 and 2. So, we're gonna go ahead and get this show on the road. Kevin, are you in the watch together?
Yep.
Alright.
And with any luck, I too can learn not to like every single movie I see. Thank you,
Okay.
Chester.
Oh, Chester A. Bum. I forgot about that character.
Yeah, you forgot about the problem.
It's been a while since Oh, Doug, the focus on this camera was terrible.
Yes.
And
God, the onboard microphone in this... Oh, it's a CM Punk shirt. The onboard microphone for this camera is fucking terrible. Spider-Man 3 is not that bad.
This was back during the time when Spider-Man 3 was considered the worst thing ever.
Not as bad as Spider-Man 2.
No, that is cap.
Well, okay, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
Like as much as I like
So the audio just took a dip in quality here.
People are stupid movies.
No, they're not.
I love them. I really do. In the same way that I love the first two Superman movies, even though they were goofy. But they're just
I
straight
mean,
up
okay.
silly.
Okay, so hang on. Goofy is one thing. Terribly written is something very different. Things just kind of happen in Superman 1, and then the world ends and Superman turns back time. If I could turn back time. And, like, there's nothing that egregious in the Raimi films, Doug.
Then again, what do you expect when your main character looks like this? Or even this? I guess
I don't know what to say to that, because that... Maybe it's because I was, like, 5 when the movie came out, but I've never... Actually, you know what? I've read Spider-Man comics for most of my life. I've never thought that the suit looked that stupid. But then again, people got on the Green Goblin suit for looking like a quote-unquote Power Rangers suit. Oh, come on, guys. Do you really want it to be the fucking, Keebler Elves outfit it was from the comics? That wouldn't have looked good in live action either.
No,
if you were complaining about the fucking... Hell, it would have looked more like Power Rangers because he would have had the fucking Goldar mouth.
Yep.
I didn't understand why the last film got so ridiculed when it seemed like the other two movies had just as many weird moments. Granted, they all had...
So I can say, for one thing, it is because while Spider-Man 2 is one of my, it's my least favorite of the trilogy, for a couple of reasons, it is somewhat better paced. Like, Spider-Man 1 is the best paced of the entire trilogy. Spider-Man 2 is still better paced than Spider-Man 3. And Spider-Man 3 has the problem of, like, things just kind of happen, like the symbiote just kind of
shows up.
Yeah, the symbiote just kind of happens.
Well, then again, that is kind of the case.
Central Park.
That is kind of the case in the comics as well.
Yeah, well, that doesn't excuse it. Like, they could have come up with a better idea.
I know.
I always come up with a better idea.
Had some good action scenes, and they did address the dilemmas of being a superhero.
Good God, Doug, can you... Actually, hang on, I'm gonna see if I can find a... Live mode? What? No, I didn't mean to do that. No, that's not what I meant to do, guys. Okay, hang on.
We're trying to figure this out.
I was trying to reset the visual quality. There we go.
And with any luck...
Be fun, but they were pretty loopy. And I'm here to count down the top 11
okay, hang on. Doug, please stop talking. I need to increase your visual quality. There we go. Quality. Large. Did fucking nothing. That's great.
Weirdest moments in the Spider-Man movies.
Why did the audio quality just increase? Did you have to remove a song or something? Doug, if you had to do that, just redo the damn voiceover. I know it'll sound different.
You do realize that the Danny Elfman song is probably copyright?
No. I understand that. I'm just saying is like if he had to remove a piece of audio, and the video was already rendered, and he like didn't have access to the original vocal stems because the video was made like 15 years ago. I would have been perfectly fine with him recording a new voiceover for that, just for the sake of clarity, because I could hardly hear him.
Why top 11? Because I like to go one step beyond. So,
yes.
Sit back and enjoy the top 11
I
dumbest
do appreciate
American flags. Now,
okay, so hang on. I'm gonna rewind here. So, I do appreciate Doug's, little gimmick here with the lists, because so many people do top 5s, top 10s, top 20s. Top 11 is interesting.
Moments in the Spider-Man movies. Why top 11? Because I like to go one step beyond. So, sit back and enjoy the top 11 dumbest Spider-Man American flags.
It's not my imagination. The video did skip.
Yeah, because of the audio.
Okay.
Again, it's because
one more time.
The Raimi Man theme is copywritten.
Doug, you know what we could have done? We could have taken the video into Adobe Premiere and like turned the audio for that section down. And it's very easy. I could probably, in fact, if I can find an original copy of this video somewhere, I could definitely do that. The American flag thing, Spider-Man is an American superhero who lives in America, in New York City, where American flags are all over the place, especially post 9/11, like Spider-Man 2 and 3 were made.
Flags. Not like any American, I'm proud of my country. It's a great place to be, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But
that's
after
good to know.
9/11, we seem to really want to remind ourselves of that over and over. Let me explain.
I mean, Spider-Man 1 was made before 9/11, and the flag was all over the place, too. The only thing...
Yeah.
Pretty much the only thing that was different about the film was that they might have cut a scene of him stopping a bank robbery by snagging a helicopter with a web between the twin towers. But it's debatable as to whether or not that footage was ever supposed to be in the movie in the first place, so...
Explain. Before 9/11, there was an ad for Spider-Man that you actually can't see.
Oh, he actually talks about that.
It was a teaser trailer that showed a bunch of thieves escaping in...
Oh, yeah, this is the potato quality it was available in before the 35mm, print was found.
A helicopter.
Sit back and enjoy the ride.
But then they get caught in a giant spider web between the World Trade Center. We back out and see the image of Spider-Man's eye.
Yeah, this footage, all of that footage made it into the movie.
There was even a poster that had that same image in Spider-Man's
Yeah, that was the
eyes.
original
But
teaser
after
trailer,
9/11
actually.
happened, that trailer suddenly seemed inappropriate and was cut from the movie theaters. Hell, even the poster was scrapped. And not to sound like a conspiracy nut, but I think this scene was in the movie. I think this was the big reveal of Spider-Man. You ever notice in the first film he has no
makes
real
sense.
big reveal, he's just sort of there? I think this is
Yeah,
how they did it, but then
that's
cut
been
it
a
out in the
theory
last
of mine,
second. But
too.
again, I'm just speculating. So to make up for it, like every movie that came out right after 9/11, they put a big American flag in there. And
Okay, so no, I believe there is still, I believe there are references to all of this in the pre-9/11 shooting script. I'd have to go back and look at it. David Coop has it on his website, so I'd have to go back and look at the PDF I have of that. But I'm 90% sure that directions for this are in the original screenplay.
of course, the post-9/11 crowd loved it. Yeah, it's a
of
bit
course.
hokey now, but you could excuse the first film as it was reacting to the emotions of the American people at the time. But by the time the third film did it, the gimmick wore out its welcome. It was years later, and now it seemed like it was going from
Doug, can you qualify that statement?
kind of forceful to uncomfortably forceful. You don't need to hammer in that Spider-Man's American. His freaking colors are red, white, and blue!
I mean, no, his colors are red, blue, and silver. Silver is not white, despite what Insomniac would like to have you believe.
How much more American can you get?
Also, I appreciate there actually being a lot of New York City landmarks and whatnot in this, unlike a bunch of the other films that Sony has made that are allegedly set in New York.
Meanwhile, the MCU Spider-Man and films are filmed in Manhattan. They're like, no, No, I'm swinging in New York.
Yeah. At least it's not the Ghostbusters remake, which was filmed mostly in Boston and I believe Sydney, Australia.
Oh well, maybe this one's kind of nitpicking, but we're just...
It's also funny to note that both this and the Amazing Spider-Man films had a lot of footage shot in Los Angeles and San Francisco, but here's the funny thing. They shoot it in such a way that you can't really tell.
at the bottom of the list, and there's a lot more goofy moments to go. Number 10.
Oh, God! It sounds like I had like a Spider-Man. I believe there was a Spider-Man birthday card that played the theme, and this sounds like that. I had one of those when I was a kid. I might still have it somewhere. It definitely doesn't work anymore. But
all those pointless characters.
Pointless character. There's a lot of characters in Spider-Man comics, Doug. You're going to have to qualify that statement. Also, by the way, Doug, you could have found the Spider-Man font online. It's called Homo Arachnid.
Maybe in the comics these characters played a bigger
Okay, so the daughter of the landlord does not exist in the comics.
role, but in the movies,
I believe the Dr. Octopus's wife is completely different to non-existent in the
they
comics.
just seem to
Plus,
have no
plus she
purpose
plays
but to
a
show-
pivotal role in what causes this Dr.
Yes.
Octagonopus to fall down the slippery slope.
Yeah, also, like, Betty Brant kind of... She does the same thing here as she does in the comics, essentially. And she's a receptionist. Like, if you're going to have... There's going to be a receptionist at the Bugle, she might as well be Betty Brant, because Betty Brant is the receptionist in the comic.
that these people, well, were put in the movie. The teacher who eventually becomes Lizard Man in the comics, I don't count because, well, he actually does help Peter out in the movies.
And he was supposed to become Lizard later on. They just never made those movies.
But what about characters like Gwen Stacy? From what
I mean, I would cut Gwen Stacy from Spider-Man 3 in a heartbeat, personally, because I fucking despise love triangles. But then again, I'd also cut J. Jonah Jameson Jr. from, he's actually J. Jonah Jameson III from,
Spider-Man 2.
From Spider-Man 2 as well. So.
I understand, she had a really big role in the comics.
Yes, from what you want... Doug, could you maybe have read one of those comics? It might enlighten you about some of the things that go on in the movie. I would have sworn too, but I don't remember at this point, because it's been like 10 years since I watched this video.
In fact, she was supposed to be the one that was hanging on the bridge when the Green Goblin makes that...
Yes and no. I believe Mary Jane was the one who was dropped in the Ultimate Universe, which was the one that kind of influenced the movies more, but, you know.
Big drop. I don't want to give anything away, but she's dead. In the movie, she's just sort of a throwaway character.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Peter
have put her
dates
there.
for a second, but then she just vanishes. It'd be cooler if maybe she was the first
I appreciate...
girlfriend, and then
The funny thing is, like, Bryce Dallas Howard is great, and she would have made a great Mary Jane Watson, too.
maybe Mary Jane comes in, but I'm probably thinking too hard about it. How about Dr. Octopus's wife? You'd think her death would have, like, a huge impact on it.
I legitimately did. That's... Rosie's death kind of sends him off the deep end just as much as his brain being kind of overtaken by the octopus arms did.
But he's like,
My Rosie's dead.
whatever. I can get another one.
That's not a... Doug, can you, like, hold on the scene for a little bit? You could see on his face. I'm gonna...
Like, he is just slowly...
Yeah?
Like, he is just slowly processing the fact that his wife is gone.
Yeah.
And the arms are trying to talk him into doing nefarious things because, they were attacked.
The thing. Yeah, completing his life's work, so to speak.
But the biggest one to me has to be the astronaut from Spider-Man 2.
Oh my god, Doug and I agree about it. Yes, John Jameson should have been cut from Spider-Man 2, because, dear God...
AKA She-Hulk's canonical husbando.
You know what? Let's bring in Jen Walters. Fuck it. Jen and John can get together so that we don't have a fucking Okay, so two things. Let's have Jen and John get together so we don't have this love triangle nonsense in Spider-Man 2. And then we cast somebody different as Jen, give her an actual personality, and we don't have to have the She-Hulk show.
Meanwhile, Jed Walters just carried on Jameson around. And he's like, you know what? I don't mind this at all. This is fine.
I've been to space. Sometimes I like to come home and feel a little bit weightless.
He
Yep.
is not only an astronaut, but he's also the son of Peter's boss, Jameson, and he's also marrying Mary Jane.
I own the DVD that he had to have ripped for this. It doesn't look this bad.
Those are some big-ass qualities about him. And what do you remember about him? Not a goddamn thing. You'd think this guy would be really interesting.
Oh yeah, no, he has no personality in this fucking movie.
And probably play a big part, seeing what an impact he makes on everybody. And
John Jameson is a very important recurring character in the Spider-Man comics. He actually appears in either the second or third Spider-Man comic.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that he was in the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series, where he is voiced by Darren Norris, who also plays He's J. Jonah.
I guess he really doesn't make an impact on anybody. Mary Jane and him share maybe 2 scenes together. Him and his
Oh yeah, that was a really... Yeah, those scenes are really lame, and they lead to a lot of pointless conflict that extends the runtime of the
father
film.
Don't share any scenes together. And
No, he does share a couple of scenes with his father. They just don't share any dialogue together because all of that was left on the cutting room floor.
Yep.
How do I know this? Because I've read the fucking script and the movie novelization.
You never see him do anything space-related. What was the purpose of this guy? Just someone for Mary Jane to leave? That's pretty weak.
Basically,
Actually,
yeah.
I always thought maybe he was gonna be Venom. Wouldn't that...
You know what? That would have actually made perfect sense. Because if he finds out that the guy that his fiancée left him for was this schmuck, and this schmuck happens to be Spider-Man, and that would have actually helped out.
Well, there is conflict
then we wouldn't have had to bring in Eddie Brock and engineer a whole thing with him. But,
well, Alex, there is also actual conflict between Peter and John Jameson, but in Spectacular Spider-Man, but that's in season 2, and mostly that was Eddie Brock just fucking with them.
Yeah.
Because Eddie Brock just be like that. At one point, even at the end of that episode, he just comes into the Daily Bugle, tells Jameson, oh, by the way, Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and then he just leaves.
Alright, tell Dark and Gruesome, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that information? That's considered hearsay in these parts.
That make a lot of sense. You could have him go into space, find this thing,
which is
and
apparently admissible in court in New York right now.
And he would have reason to go after Peter. He stole his woman. It'd be a lot better than getting that dweeb from that 70s show and hastily putting a backstory together for him. At least this guy did have a backstory going.
Actually, you know, I just had an idea. So Eddie Brock was originally in Spider-Man 1. His scenes were cut entirely, and the role was recast with Topher Grace. Now, Topher Grace is a perfectly fine actor. I like him. I liked him in that 70s show. I liked him in this. But you could have had, like, a trilogy-wide setup where, like, Eddie's constantly hunting for Spider-Man pictures and not getting them. Then Peter shows up out of nowhere, and he's got all the high-quality shots, and he loses his job over that, or you know, he doesn't get as much freelance work, so he goes over to work for, I don't know, whoever the competition is. I can't remember. There's too many fucking newspapers in Spider-Man comics. But he goes over to work for the competition, and he's like interested in Mary Jane, and then, you know, the two of them, and like, you know, they kind of hang out for a little bit, date for a little while, and then they break up, and he has the whole, you know, he starts getting better and better at his job, and starts being more of Peter's rival in Spider-Man 3, and then when the black suit comes around, and he's like they're trying to vie for the staff writer job, or for the staff photographer job rather, and he fakes those photos. It was because he's just desperate because now Spider-Man is destroying his gear. That almost comes full circle, you know. because like he's been beaten down for 3 movies incidentally almost, and then he finds out that Peter Parker is the cause of all of his problems. That actually would have been a pretty neat little turn of storytelling. But that's not what we got. And frankly, it might have been a little bit more work than they were able to pull off, because Spider-Man 1 is a perfect movie, and you can't, like, if they tried to add all of that stuff into it, they might have wound up with another Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Even if it did lead to no character. Hell, Bruce Campbell was more developed than him. That is, all 3 of them. Oh, and there's also the
I was about to
landlord's
make
daughter,
that
the
joke.
Newspaper lady, the Green Goblin's butler, Mary Jane's parents. All of them have little to
Oh yeah, Mary Jane's parents, who we don't fucking see.
do with anything.
Well,
And
we
when
see
they
her
do,
dad,
either-
but
We see him in silhouette. We don't actually see his face.
no, he actually comes out in Shasta and yells at MJ.
That is from a distance, though, right? Because I would have sworn I'd have to go back and watch the movie again, and it's been a couple of months.
leads to nothing or just comes out of nowhere. I think a guy who dresses up like a voodoo pincushion is enough to hold a movie guy.
Voodoo pincushion. Okay, Doug. This is what led to a lot of movies having not nearly enough supporting characters who have personalities and things going on in the background, which has led to the sanding down of the worlds of various characters, people complaining about the background characters. I hope you're happy, because we've only had negative consequences from all this.
Yep.
Guys, you don't need to develop all of these characters, or if you do, actually develop them!
I was gonna say, that's fair. You could say, they could have developed more, but you gotta have background characters, otherwise you don't have a world,
Yeah.
It very much feels like the universe is centered around what the lead characters do otherwise. It's like the Star Wars sequels are like that. Because, like, the original trilogy and the prequels have all this character, all this world building in the background, You get a sense that other things are happening. Granted, Star Wars does kind of have that kind of problem where it's like it only seems like major events happen to our main characters, but we do have a lot of background elements. There's other characters who appear to be doing things. And then the Star Wars sequels happened, and, it's like we went from a wide-angle shot to a very narrow, close shot, where all of the universe, rather. So, I'll take this, I'll take the stuff that was going on in The Amazing Spider-Man, I'll take this kind of stuff over, the 5 background characters that we had in, MCU Spider-Man, for instance, because most of them just don't have personalities. They're planks of wood. Or pretty much any Marvel supporting cast past Phase 2-ish, we'll say.
Anyway.
It becomes very caricature-ish.
The extras in Spider-Man 2.
Are we talking about this? Because, what?
Sort of a weird thing to comment on, but have you ever noticed how
That guy was in The
hokey
Sopranos,
acting was
I believe.
in Spider-Man 2? Not really from the main actors, they held up okay. I'm talking about the extras, the people
The butler is not an extra. The butler is a supporting character.
in the background. I don't know, they just never seem to talk right to me.
It's a web.
Okay, Doug, if you're going to criticize the dialogue, pick something different.
Yeah.
What is she, Spidey's girlfriend?
Spider-Man fucking wishes.
And for that matter, does she kind of look creepy to you? She
No.
looks possessed.
She's...
How about that weird guy in the elevator?
Looks uncomfortable.
I love that
This is
scene.
the best scene in the fucking movie!
One of the best, in my opinion, but yeah. Yep.
You know what? I lied. The best scene is the one that didn't make the theatrical release. Kevin, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, Jameson in
Jonah
the
Man.
Spidey suit.
And then
I still stand by the best scene in the movie being the train scene.
and that was when they found out. Oh yeah, that's really good too. But that was when they found out that J.K. Simmons stays in incredible shape.
Yep.
It rides up in the crotch a little bit too.
Oh, that must be painful.
How long are they gonna hold on this guy?
It's a comedy scene. Doug.
Yeah.
Cut! Remember that weird bank teller?
Oh, that boy of yours is a real hero.
I mean, Doug, have you read the fucking comics? Shit like this was said all the time in those. You can't...
Yeah.
You have to facilitate stuff from the comics, otherwise it's not a fucking comic book movie.
It's ironic because he's Spider-Man.
No, it's ironic because as he ran away, it looked like... If you don't know that he's... It looks like Peter fled the scene. If you don't know he's Spider-Man, it looks like he's a fucking coward.
You also got this awkward firefighter.
You got some guts, kid.
Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
What is he, a Vulcan? Show some emotion, guy.
He's communicating the fact that somebody just died and he's still got a fucking job to do.
Yeah.
For God's
I guess
sakes,
you
they're
don't know any
firefighters. Don't
cops
they see
or
dead people
firemen.
all the time?
Yeah, that's why he's communicating the way he is. He's like he's trying to keep it together. He doesn't want to freak out. It's bad.
Yeah.
But you still got a job to do, Doug.
Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
Oh, real nice, Lou. Just say that in front of the kid I just said has guts.
I mean, it doesn't change anything.
No,
He had
it
guts to
doesn't.
do what he did.
Maybe that would mess him up. Maybe he dresses up like a spider and saves people. You ever think of that, Lou?
Doug, this isn't funny.
No, this isn't.
You remember when you were saying cut earlier? It's time to cut.
How about the train
Yeah.
scene? I think the kids are the best actors here.
I'm going to need you to qualify that statement, Doug.
He's mine!
You want to get to him, you got to go through me.
And me.
Me too.
And me.
I don't know what to say. This just isn't. This isn't valid criticism. This is incredibly subjective, and I don't agree.
And me.
And me.
Plus, what the hell are Big Pussy and Dr. Katz doing there?
They live in this fucking city, Doug. They're actors.
Yeah.
They act. This is what they do. Movie shoots in my town. I sign up. You gonna turn down a role in Spider-Man 2?
I think my favorite, though, has got to be that screaming woman in the building Doc Ock is climbing.
I mean, I'd like to see you keep your composure when robot tentacle hentai attacks you. She's seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
Speaking of which, that's another possessed-looking face, isn't it?
Dr. Octopus is fucking up her office
Maybe another
building.
nitpick, but the extras in this movie just never seem natural to me. But again, this is a movie with an 8-legged doctor. How natural can it get?
Shame on you.
You know, I was gonna say, I appreciate you acknowledging that fact, Doug.
The
Number
effects in
8.
Spider-Man 1. As the films moved on, the effects got better and better. By the time 2 and 3 came around, they looked damn amazing. But in the first movie, they were pretty off. Come on, did you ever believe he was really holding that car of children?
Yeah?
Look at the Green Goblin. Did you ever
Did
believe
they-
he was really there flying?
I mean, the movie came out in
Did he not see
2002.
that? Did he not see that Peter's hand was bleeding as he was lowering the cable car?
I was about to say, yeah.
I think the action figure looked more realistic.
It's CGI from 2000. It's a CGI composite from 2002. I'm gonna give it some leeway.
How about when Spider-Man
Yeah.
was first jumping?
Yeah, you know what? It's still better visual effects than they had in No, not No Way Home. Far From Home and Homecoming. A lot of that looked like garbage.
Like a reject from the
And also, oh yeah, every Phase 4 movie, every Phase 5 movie
Toy Story
has
movies,
stuff
doesn't
that
it?
were... No, it doesn't!
Were cool, like the Spidey sense, and even 1 or 2 moments of him swinging around. But most of the time, I just felt like I was watching the video game for the movie as opposed to the actual movie itself.
Doug, have you played the video game for the movie? Because I can vouch for it that it does not have very good graphics even for the time.
I did.
It doesn't look as good as this.
It's, by the way, in that game you could play as Mary Jane. And guess what? There was this. They had to cut out. They had to cut that out on later releases of it because Mary Jane saving Mary Jane, and at the end of the game, and Spider-Man's supposed to kiss her. Guess what happens?
I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. Oh no.
So
Oh,
would that
no. Oh,
so
no.
Alex, would that be considered self-cest or masturbation?
Yes.
All right, let's see.
I mean, you know, we're not going to have him actually jumping around on Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade balloons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, what do you want it to look like? The movie came out in 2002.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he jumps from a smaller building all the way to one that seems 3 times its size.
Okay, that is within his power to do so. He is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Just how far can this guy jump anyway?
Okay, so that wasn't really a jump. He wound up and released the web line. Those are 2 very different things. Also, he's Spider-Man. This is within his power
Spider-Man
to do so.
and Spider-Man, as Samurai Jack once said, can jump good.
It's funny because the Spider-Man suit itself actually sort of looks computer generated. So you
No!
Oh my god, that has not aged well at all, has it,
No,
Doug?
it doesn't! No, it doesn't! The MCU Spider-Man, and you could make that argument for, but not an original Raimi Man! No! No!
God, Doug, are you kidding me? No. That is a real suit. Tobey Maguire is wearing a real fucking suit here.
Do you think it would transfer well if they actually do that animated? Well, in the later films it does, in the first film it doesn't.
I mean, considering the worst visual effects compositing for a web swing that I've ever seen in the trilogy is in, like, it's either Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. Are you fucking kidding me? Doug, just go back and watch our commentary videos on it, and I'll point it out when it happens.
But hey, at least they did get better. I mean, it could be worse. You could go the route of the Ninja Turtle movies and constantly make the effects worse and worse.
That's fair. Also, have you seen those suits lately? Those suits have fucking... Excuse me. Those suits have fucking rotted to hell.
To the point where Spider-Man was an animatronic puppet. But luckily they haven't gone there.
Oh... Flashing back to Mandalorian Season 3, when they could have used CGI and made it look way better. Instead, they used a fucking puppet, and it looked worse. Like, the one time I want them to actually use CGI on something like that, and it's like, this is what you wanted when people say that they wanted fucking puppet Yoda in Episode 2, you know? Oh, like, good God.
Yeah.
Don't just throw a fucking rubber and cloth puppet around and call that good. Like, if you're gonna have the puppet doing stunts, CG it. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you. You use CGI for everything else. Why not that?
Yet. Number 7. Little to no Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Very much agreed.
I might have mentioned before that I didn't read Spider-Man that much, but when I did, it always had Venom in it.
Oh, that explains a lot.
He was my favorite Spider-Man villain, and everybody was hyped to see him in the 3rd film.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll admit I thought Topher Grace was a weird choice, but when I saw
Okay,
him in his role,
so it turns out there. So remember that whole rumor or thing where Sam Raimi wasn't a big fan of Venom?
Yeah, I believe it was Avi Arad who insisted that Venom be in this film for marketing purposes.
Raimi, yeah, Raimi, yeah, that rumor of Raimi not liking Venom, that was a lie.
Okay, so Raimi not liking Venom is one thing, but I know that it wasn't his idea for him to be in the movie, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So I have to ponder if Arad was the one responsible for why Venom's scenes were the way they were.
Well, Avi Arad is responsible for a lot of bad things in Marvel history, so... And Sony history, too.
I don't think he did that bad. Nothing great, but nothing terrible. And of course, when Venom finally...
Nothing terrible. Why did he sound like a bad impression of my great-great-grandfather?
He did pop up, he looked great. The sharp teeth, the gooey black skin. He was a little scrawny, but he still looked great. And it was wonderful to finally see him on the big screen.
I'm trying to picture who I would have cast instead. Somebody with a really large upper body. And the only people that are coming to mind are either Henry Cavill or, what's his name from Jack Reacher?
I know not who that is. Who that would be.
He was in... I can't remember who he is. But yeah. Oh! Zac Efron. Zac Efron would have been good.
Fucking seriously, that pretty boy?
Dude, have you seen Zac Efron in Baywatch? Or in,
I've seen Zac Efron in a number...
Have you seen him in The Iron Claw?
Alex, I've seen him in a number of movies, and guess what? He is still a pretty boy to this day.
Okay. The Iron Claw, he pretty much looks exactly like Eddie from the comics. Because that was after...
I'm gonna have to have you qualify that statement.
Okay. So Zac Efron broke
after the review.
Well, I was just gonna say Zac Efron broke his jaw a few years ago and had to have reconstructive surgery on it. And like he has this big fucking lantern jaw now, and he he bulked up hard for both Baywatch and the Iron Claw. He looks fucking huge.
10 minutes! Like everyone else, I was pissed at how little screen time Venom got. In the comic, the suit tortured him. It tore him apart, but he was hopelessly addicted to it. That alone could fill an entire movie. But instead, he's mixed in with a ton of other wrestling plot points that he's only given a few minutes at the end. And even then, most of the time, his face is peeled back. Yeah, he has sharp teeth. Great, go back to the monster! I'd probably be okay with it if I knew they were going to bring him back for a sequel, but no. Yeah. He nukes the bastard and we never see him again. The flying spider balls! They should have just held off putting him in this
very much
movie,
agree.
Or maybe end it with the transformation of him and build it up for the next one. But no, he's there for a second and then Venom goes...
Yeah, actually, you know what? That would have been pretty good if they'd have waited until the end of the movie. Fuck, now I can't come up with an actual climax for the film.
Yeah.
You pretty much have to rewrite the entire... Actually, you know what? Let's rewrite the entire film. I'm fine with rewriting the entire film.
What a fucking load! The one Spider-Man villain I think everybody wanted to see, and he gets nudged to the side by Emo Peter. Oh.
I mean, that was part of his plot line.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Yeah.
I guess it was...
You can't say that he was nudged to the side by something he caused.
Good to see him, especially seeing how they're not continuing this particular story chain anymore. But man, like everyone else, I wish I could have seen a lot more of him. Not in that...
You know what? I fucking forgot that Tom Hardy played him.
Yeah, you forgot that Tom Hardy, aka Bane, played Venom.
Tom Hardy, you know what? If we're gonna do that, we could have Tom Hardy as him.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would like having Tom Hardy as Venom. We need to watch those films.
Number 6.
Some point.
That cock tease romance.
Yes! Thank you. Somebody fucking said it.
My God.
I'm perfectly prepared to disagree with Doug over every point he makes here, because I have a feeling he's going to make them incorrectly.
Okay, so Peter has the hots for Mary Jane. Whoop-de-doo.
Right?
What does he do? Acts like a pussy and never talks to her, despite the fact that he lives right next door to her.
Okay, so at first it's because he's a weak, scrawny nerd and she's going out with the school jock. And as time goes on, it's because with great power comes great responsibility. He doesn't want her to be in danger, so, you know.
How is that possible? She's got a boyfriend, but he breaks it up because, I don't know, he's a fucking idiot. Does Peter move in? No. His best friend does. They continue to make googly eyes at each other until finally Mary Jane breaks up with the best friend, just as his father fucking dies. Ouch. So now Peter moves in, right? No. He's afraid that if his enemies find out who he is, they'll try to kidnap her to get to him. Well, that's okay. Your stupid old
Which is correct.
She's been held hostage more time than a video game princess.
And the second time, it wasn't even related to her relation to Spider-Man.
So she hooks up with that astronaut guy who's so charming with his one fucking line, and then Peter acts like
he has several lines, you just don't remember them. It's okay, I don't either.
He's interested again. She gets proposed to and even says yes, but still wants to be with Peter, which is great because he wants to be with her. Oh wait, now he doesn't. Business first.
I mean, that's one of my major complaints about Spider-Man 2.
Bitch. So she finds out who he really is, and they agree they should stay separate because of the danger involved. But then she says, fuck Neil Armstrong, I'm gonna go with the pussy in the red pajamas. When he warns her about all the danger she could be in, she points out that even before she knew he was Spider-Man, she was getting fucking kidnapped all the time. So might as well have the sex. They finally get together, only to have Harry blackmail her into breaking up with him. Why? Because he'll kill Peter if she doesn't. But did she just forget that Peter and Spider-Man are the same person? Just
apparently.
I mean, that's... I wouldn't exactly say that that's, the worst aspect of this sequence, but, you know,
Just tell the friggin' idiot! Go up to him and say, hey, Harry's got his memory back. He's right over there. Beat the shit out of him. The end. But no, she breaks up with
that's
him
actually
and never
fair.
explains why. What a shame. He was gonna marry her and they were gonna live in, I don't know, an even bigger closet.
yeah, quick question. Why the fuck didn't he move into her fucking house? She has one. We saw it in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they move in together? Split the fucking rent. Or have him, like, pay part of it at the very least. Come on.
But that's okay. Another random kidnapping will solve that.
Actually, hang on. Why the fuck? He gets the fucking staff job in Spider-Man 3. Why is he still in the fucking apartment? And hang on. I just remembered. He stays in the fucking apartment in the storyboards for Spider-Man 4. Right up until the place is condemned. Why? He got the fucking staff job. He's making money hand over fist.
He saves her life, of course, and they end up dancing. Did any of this bring them closer together? I don't know, but seriously, you two need counseling!
You know what? I fucking hope it did, because if they haven't figured this out come No Way Home, you know, this is,
They did figure it out. It's just, you
dumb.
know, we didn't get to see that, but that is actually a vast improvement over Spider-Man 4's initial plan, which was to have them break up again.
Sam, I love you, buddy, but why?
Number 5. Dr. Octopus's robotic arms.
No, I will not accept criticism of the arms.
Okay, why do these things have artificial intelligence? I mean, what?
I mean, if they were meant to help him manage an unstable nuclear reactor. It kind of requires something other than just his input. But, like, because...
I mean, and the alternative is... Alex, you remember what the alternative is, right?
I remember that the alternative is the arms from the comics, which are just kind of there. And him...
No, the alternative is the arms from the 2018 game.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What's the point? It's like giving AI to one of those robotic arms you get at the toy store. There's no need for it. You push a button, it grabs stuff. Easy.
I mean, you know what? This is a very prescient argument for today, because now they're putting AI in everything, and... You know, the things that used to be push a button and do a thing is now push a button, tell a computer to do a thing, and then the computer does a thing. About 20 minutes later. If it doesn't crash. But no, like, this is a great idea for both storytelling and for the for the way that things go down in the, I guess that is still storytelling, but this is a great idea for storytelling here, because then it gives Otto somebody to kind of bounce off of, and a little bit of a reasoning for his actions going forward, and you know, the interface system is perhaps a bit complicated, but he is having to control 4 additional eyes and 4 additional arms with various sensors and other things on there. So, I mean, the artificial intelligence system, it's almost like creating an extension of his own brain at that point, because otherwise you're working on sensory overload, because the body isn't used to things like that.
Doesn't that make you vulnerable to them?
How right you are. Which is why I developed this inhibitor chip to protect my higher brain function. It means I maintain control of these arms, instead of them controlling me.
And even then...
And that's actually kind of a principle in electronics, where you have diodes and things like that to keep signals from feeding back into circuits that they're not supposed to go to, and it's why you place certain circuits in different places so that they don't, so the voltage doesn't jump across. Or at least you should, if you're not fucking Apple.
How far does the AI go? In the movie, the AI convinces him to finish the experiment by robbing banks, killing doctors, and hanging old ladies.
No, the killing the doctors was incidental because they saw the doctors as a threat to him and to them.
Yeah.
Because they were gonna use a fucking K-12 to chop off the arms. Like, they saw it as an existential threat. It's a basic self-defense protocol. Oh, it's very easy. Like, after a point, sure, you can criticize as like, okay, why did they do this? And it's like, well, they are trying to fulfill their purpose, but like, you know, why is Otto falling for it? You can ask all these questions, but the fucking arms protecting him and themselves, or, you know, doing what they think is necessary to protect him and themselves when he's unconscious, that's not one of them. They're trying to... They see a guy coming at them with a saw. What the fuck do you want him to do?
Tall buildings!
Butterfingers.
What crazy fucked up idiot invented these things? Oh yeah, the crazy fucked up idiot who stole the idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I guess he saw had it coming. But yeah, just to make it even goofier, the arms actually
pretty good.
Talk to him. Yeah, they don't say words, but...
I mean, I wouldn't say that's goofier, you know, if they spoke in voices that sounded like this, it was like, oh, Otto, we should rob the bank downtown so we can get more money to finish the reactor. Hi-ho! If they spoke like that, sure, it'd be goofy, but like, why can't people take anything earnestly these days?
But they actually do talk to him. It's like a mechanical version of Lamb Chop Sing-Along.
No, it's more like the devil on both shoulders, Doug.
Reason number 1. He's got a little a little harp thingy. A string thingy. And over this, it's all harp. Reason number 2. Look at what I can do. How does that... No. He's got a point.
No, he's got a point. Oh, I'm not doing my good Patrick Warburton right now. God, it's been a long time since I thought about Lamb Chop's sing-along.
What the hell do you think those things are even saying to him anyway?
It doesn't matter what they're saying to him. We
see
what his responses are.
Hello, Octi. What do you think we should do today?
Rob a bank.
It's a little dark for you, isn't it? Rob a bank! Okay. Hell.
That's actually not bad.
The arms even scream with him when he finds out everything's gone wrong.
I mean, they are extensions of him.
Yeah.
I don't... These scenes are not comparable, Doug. I don't know what to say to you.
No, they're not.
Yeah, there's pseudoscience and then there's so-so science.
What? I'm gonna need you to explain.
And this is just silly. You know, I sort of miss my wife. Fuck her! Okay!
I don't think the arms ever said that.
No.
The dialogue from Spider-Man 1.
I will hear none of this criticism.
David Koepp is one of Hollywood's most famous writers. He's written big hits like Jurassic Park, Death Becomes Her, and Panic Room.
Yeah.
But he's also written some major stinkers like War of the Worlds, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and The Lost World.
And he also wrote Mission Impossible 1. Well, he was one of the 3 people who wrote Mission Impossible 1.
To me, he seems like a better story man than he does a dialogue writer.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. The dialogue kind of took a downturn in later Spider-Man films.
And this really shows in Spider-Man.
Also, there was a bunch of dialogue that was rewritten by the people who went on to work on Spider-Man 2, so I don't know what to say. Like, Doug, do some research before you make your goddamn videos.
The story is actually pretty well paced and put together. Dialogue, on the other hand...
When she got out of the car and you saw her for the first time, you grabbed me and said, Aunt May? Aunt May? Is that an angel?
Are you an angel?
Oh.
I feel like the Invisible Man is now trying to trying to choke me.
Oh, angel,
look, sir, I understand your grievances with this, but
oh, angel, let burn the passion that fires your soul.
Ugh.
You have a knack for saving my life. I think I have a superhero stalker.
Did I really just hear that?
What about my
See?
generous proposal? Are you
Oh
in
God,
or are
this!
you out? It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Okay, that's just straight up...
Oh, fuck you, man! Fuck you!
Doug, I've seen your movies. You don't get to criticize the dialogue in this film.
No, you do not!
You can hear Kristen Dunst make fun of it.
That's such a cheap line. You have that, Gobby. That's mine.
Jameson, you swine!
Really? He just...
I mean, he's a scumbag reporter. What do you want?
Called him slime?
Yeah, he's a slime ball.
No, he called him swine.
Jameson, you swine!
Still being used? In fact, was it ever being used?
We'll meet again, Spider-Man!
Jesus, this is sounding like, well, a comic book.
Okay, your primary criticism of a comic book film is that it sounds like it's a comic book. I don't really know how to respond to that. Do you want a comic book film to not sound like a comic book? Because if you want that, Catwoman is right over that way.
Yeah, we know he reviewed that movie.
We know you didn't like that.
Which, yeah, obviously it's based on a comic book. Maybe that was the idea, but it's supposed to be a movie first. And a movie...
fuck you.
for adults, for that matter. These
Fuck you.
just sounded like lines you hear from a Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Spider-Man foiled part of his plans and destroyed his shit. He's running away because he's getting his ass kicked, and he wants to... Oh.
Join me, Turtles. Are you in or are you out? Hey, you're the one who's out, Chrome Dome. Out of your mind.
That's not even a good impression of that version of rap.
No, it wasn't. That was a terrible impression.
Join me, Turtles. Are you in or are you out? It's
I
you
don't know,
who's out,
Chrome
Shredder.
Dome.
Out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah, cowabunga.
Cowabunga, motherfucker.
How about that painfully forced scene with the New Yorker standing triumphant against...
Yeah,
Doug, I will hear no criticism of this scene.
that was one of the best scenes in the movie!
Yeah.
A flying green goblin.
You mess with Spidey, you mess with New York! You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
All right. Tell me what your criticism is, Doug. We've got 9 minutes left.
We're all after 9/11, folks.
It was before 9/11. They shot this movie in 2000 to 2001.
Yeah, come on, man.
I believe the final shooting dates were in 2001, and the film was having its visual effects finished between then, and there weren't major reshoots back then, Doug. Not something that happened.
We really felt that spirit, even though it was a little corny.
It wasn't... It's nice to see people helping Spider-Man, considering he's generally reviled by a lot of people, not really recognized for the
Spider-Man's
great things that he does.
Sorry.
Don't apologize for that. There's nothing to apologize
for. It
for.
certainly sound like a comic book. I just wish it didn't sound like a 1960s comic book.
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Oh, that sucks.
Number 3. Emo Peter. Yeah, y'all knew this was coming. Emo Peter has got to be one of the most hated aspects of Spider-Man 3. If not all the Spider-Man movies. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand why. Again, when I did read Spider-Man, I dug the stuff with the alien suit. In fact, that's one of the only Spider-Man collections I have. I knew the story. Peter's supposed to be tortured by the suit, the same way a crack addict is, or Gollum was from Lord of the Rings. It's one of those tragic attractions that just kept killing him. And
like, that's not how the suit was originally in the comics. That's kind of how it became over time.
It was good. It was a good story. While that was tragic, though, Peter goes more for comedy. And it's just...
I mean, it's more like we're kind of seeing his inhibitions go away in many ways, shapes, and forms.
Alex.
Huh?
Where's this? I think there was a scene cut for this. Peter's supposed to be strutting along the street, and if you looked closely, you could see Batman and Superman looking on in disbelief over Peter doing a Saturday Night Fever strut.
Night fever, know how to do it.
And guess what? Batman has a video of Spider-Man doing that weird dance thing. Spider-Man.
Geeky. I know that's weird me saying that, but...
Spider-Man's a fucking geek. What do you want?
It's just geeky.
He's a fucking nerd.
Yeah, he's a geek. I got that, but this is pushing it. If they went for a more serious route, this movie could have actually been more effective.
I mean, those scenes are not the things that bring this down, I have to say. You know, like, it's more the fact that this plot doesn't have any fucking time. What do you want from us?
Clearly,
what do you want from this, rather?
Clearly, he wants the 90s Spider-Man and cartoon version, and where Spider-Man is spinning around Rhino, and smacking him in the butt like he's a bad boy.
I'm done too. Done being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I don't know. The line is this. Yeah, I give up too. I give up on being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Dancing like that and acting so goofy, it's hard to get sucked into the torment he's supposed to be feeling. He doesn't have to dress different or comb his hair down. Frodo didn't need to do that. The people in Requiem for...
I mean, Frodo kind of had other things going on. Like, he became more and more ragged over the trilogy to the point where he could barely walk.
Dream didn't need to do that. They don't need to look that way. They just need to act that way. Just show the serious side of the addiction.
I mean, like, this is kind of indicative of him losing the inhibitions, and then, you know, it culminates when he hits Mary Jane, but
yeah,
it's supposed to seem like it's goofy, and then everything kind of boils over.
A little comedy's okay, but this is borderline Edward territory.
No, it's not. And as somebody who has seen Mr. Cullen here in the Batman, still no.
When he does finally act mean and crazy, it's not really believable.
Yeah, it kind of is, actually, because he's... The Peter Parker that we know is a little bit more repressed. He wouldn't do the things that he does that are seemingly harmless, and he wouldn't do the things that he does that are way more out there, you know? Like, come on, Doug. Like, it's not the best of execution, but you're completely missing the point.
Except maybe the stuff with the Sandman, but
I was gonna say, like, did you miss the stuff with
That's
Sandman?
identifiable. He killed his uncle. That
I mean, kind of, but like the shit the lengths he goes to are a little bit
He
interesting.
can't see the hair combed in front of his mask. But trust me.
I mean, I've worn those masks. You tend to put your hair back when you've got them on.
He would. And on a side note,
got a
I
couple
was
of
really
Spider-Man
looking
Halloween
forward to that
suits.
dream sequence done in the comic. Especially if Sam Raimi was doing it. It was in the comic, it was even in the cartoon. It'd be a fitting
And it was in Spectacular. That was a good one, too.
way to show the struggle that was going on in Pete's head. But nope, we got chocolate chip cookies and milk.
I don't think those were chocolate chip. I think they were something else, but yeah.
Badass.
Oh, Alex, are you
Yeah?
prepared? Are you prepared?
I am not prepared, but we're going to go ahead anyways.
Yep.
Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin.
I will hear no criticisms of this performance. This is the most legendary villain performance in any Marvel film. Like, this tops Tom Hiddleston as Loki. This tops Josh Brolin as Thanos. This tops... Hell, this tops fucking Gandalf as Magneto, you know?
Ian McKellen?
Yeah, Ian McKellen. I blanked at his name for a second there. This tops him. This tops... Even this tops Kevin Bacon as fucking Sebastian Shaw. This is the best. This is the best there ever was. You're not gonna fucking claim this is bad in some way.
When I heard Willem Dafoe was gonna be the Green Goblin, I was hyped. I was like, oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, you should remain hyped.
That's the perfect choice, no question about it. But when he goes over the top, he really goes over the top.
Alright, Green Goblin is an over-the-top villain. I fail to see what the problem is.
Yeah.
So many good things all happening for you. All for you.
I guess.
Yeah, that's one line cut out of context of him flipping back and forth between the extremes of his like slightly meek regular personality and his to the extreme goblin personality. It's like, Doug, have you ever seen Star Trek? It's like the one where they had like the Kirk who was every major and the Kirk who had all of the really aggressive instincts and the Kirk who had none of the aggressive instincts. It's kind of like that. That is like, because like he's a little bit ruthless, but he's also like regular old Norman Osborn was desperate, but he wasn't like murderously so, you know?
Fucking costume didn't help much either.
The costume is perfectly fine. I will accept no criticisms of this because people who complain about it are constantly complaining about the wrong fucking things. This is why we have all these stupid CGI helmets these days. This is why we have all these stupid CGI suits. This is the shit where we can't have fucking anything with style anymore. It's all gotta look like a fucking flat piece of bullshit like the new Superman suit
Did you ever
does.
see the original designs?
No, yeah, it looks perfectly fine. Those look great for a comic book. I don't think any of this would have been capable. I don't think we would have been capable of pulling this shit off in live action without it looking terrible in shots, because a lot of this requires a lot of articulation. There are a lot of ways this can go wrong. Ask me how I know. The more makeup that is required for any of this stuff, the more likely it is that any of this stuff can fuck up. Yeah. I was on a movie set one time where the makeup dried wrong on the actor's face, and all of the footage we shot on that day had to be scrapped. We had to go back to the location and redo everything because the old age makeup on one of the actors looked horrible on camera.
They were actually pretty creative and awesome. And yet this is what they went with? No.
Yeah, I mean it achieves the end goals of looking like a Green Goblin, and it isn't massively expensive to fucking put on every day. Like one of the issues with like the Joker makeup is that it took like, I think it took like 3-4 hours for Heath Ledger to get into the Joker makeup. And that was every single day. You know, whenever he was going to be in Joker makeup on camera, and even sometimes when he wasn't going to be directly on camera, it took hours to put that together. That's time and money you can't spend on something else. At some point, you just gotta say, hey, the unarticulated mask is perfectly fine.
No wonder he turned in the performance he did.
Think about it, hero!
The acting is traditional over-the-top Jekyll and Hyde. He changes his voice, makes big creepy faces, and plays innocent and meek when he has to confront his other self.
I mean, if you found out that you had an alternate personality living inside your head that was committing murders using your hands, your body, and your inventions, I mean, you probably wouldn't take too kindly to that either.
I mean,
you'd probably be
you kind of
scared
wonder
out of your fucking wits.
I mean, you kind of wonder why Norman smashed the helmet in No Way Home. When he took it off. He didn't want anything to do with the Goblin personality.
He doesn't want to be confronted with that shit. He spent the entire film wrestling with the consequences of his own actions.
And you could hear the Goblin just go...
The laughing. Dear God, the laughing. Oh.
And then, of course, Norman's on sabbatical.
It's so fucking good.
Of course, every time you saw him on screen before the transformation, he was a threatening and demanding person.
Yeah, because these are aspects of his personality that are enlarged by the things that happens later on. It's we're creating a split. Like he's ruthless, he's harsh, but at the start, he's not the kind of guy who would have killed a man over this stuff. But he is the kind of guy who'd be desperate enough to test an untested super soldier serum on himself so that he could figure out if it was worthwhile to keep going with. Because he was on the verge of losing funding.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this was in the movie.
But as soon as he has to act against himself, he's a frightened, scared little bird.
I mean, there's a difference between being a harsh businessman and being confronted with a murderer. Bill Gates is probably a very threatening individual in the business world, you know? But if you put him in a room with Rampage Jackson, who's like an MMA fighter, or he was pretty good back in the day too. He played BA in the A-Team movie.
Yeah.
He'd probably be like, "Oh shit." You know? Being intimidating on a charisma level is different than knowing, "Oh shit, I'm in a room with somebody who's killed people and is gleeful about it." That's the difference between the Joker and normal people, you know? It's like finding out the Joker is living in your head rent-free.
We killed them.
We?
Remember?
It's a trick actors love to use, overcompensating one side to make the other side look more threatening.
I mean, sure, I like doing stuff like that too. I like playing polar opposites against each other. But I mean, you can say, "Oh, he's playing too much into the Jekyll and Hyde angle," but it's perfectly sensible. It's a great way to achieve the kind of drama the movie was looking for, and Norman just found out that he blacked out, lost a bunch of time, and then he finds out that time went to him, an alternate personality that he has since developed, dressing up in the previously thought stolen combat suit, taking the glider, and using his inventions to kill people who were obstacles to him. Doug, Do the
mind-
math.
Oh wait, never mind.
It looks silly,
You haven't
but
gotten that far in Spectacular
it looks
yet.
silly.
Imagine if
No, I have not, unfortunately.
You'll get there. And trust me, it's insane.
I'm also shocked that this guy uses gas in a building miles high where the wind can blow it away.
I mean, concentrations and short space.
Also, he gets up close to Spider-Man before
Yeah, he's like 2
it.
feet from Peter right now.
And on top of that, he actually says sleep.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, what do you want him to say? Do you want him to say nothing? Do you want him to say, lights out, Spider-Man?
Don't you love it when you attack somebody, how you tell them to be attacked?
Hey, what can I do for you? You will please be unconscious.
I mean, like, that's comedy film. I don't know what to say, Doug. Like,
yeah,
it's not.
And what the hell was that sound? What?
I mean, he's a goblin. He makes goblin-y noises.
Was he passing gas while passing gas? Every time he was on screen, I didn't know how people didn't just burst out into laughing.
Well, you can't take things seriously, Doug, so, you know.
Really?
And we'll find out about that come the end of your Spider-Man 1 review.
I mean, look at this moment.
We can destroy him.
I can't.
Betrayal must not be countenanced.
It's a fucking Walmart mask on a
No, it's not a Walmart mask. Trust me, I had the Walmart mask. The Walmart mask looked like shit.
chair. Was this really supposed to be threatening?
Make him wish he were dead.
Yes.
And then grant his wish.
But how?
You're a dirty little kitty, aren't you?
How did you come to that conclusion, Doug? Because that was not in my mind. Why is that in your mind?
He does everything over-the-top villains do. He laughs, he says cliched lines, he even sings.
Itsy bitsy.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
When will the
Down came the goblin and took the spider out.
He's an over-the-top villain, Doug. If he wasn't overacting a little bit, it would have been completely incorrect.
How about that scene where he makes Peter's aunt finish the prayer?
I mean, like, he's evil.
That's...
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Evil.
That's outright
Doug,
evil.
you're looking for the word evil.
Finish it! Finish it!
Evil! Tonight on America.
It's underscoring the irony of the prayer not being answered and in fact being answered in the complete opposite direction, Doug.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
It's very simple.
America's funniest prayer recitals. But the weirdest moment, and isn't that saying a great deal, is when they're on the rooftop and they're just talking.
Wow.
Okay.
This is one of the most pivotal scenes in the first movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're going to need to qualify this
what?
statement, Doug.
And guess what? In No Way Home, this ends up coming back to bite one Peter.
Yeah.
Because in spite of everything he's done as an Avenger and as Spider-Man, people still despise him because of slander.
It was my path. You chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while.
No, nobody can have a conversation wearing these costumes.
They very much did in the movie, Doug.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. One of you has to laugh.
It's called acting, Doug.
Yeah.
When you're in character, sometimes even when you're out of character, you just kind of roll with it. This is called good acting.
I could squash you like a bug right now.
I know I lost it when I saw the Green Goblin do this.
Here's the real truth.
I mean, it's kind of him showing his power over the situation.
It's got to be the silliest.
And on
image
top of that, he
ever.
was trying to
Is he
make
trying
sure
act
that
like
Peter.
He's just at the water cooler.
Yeah,
and he's also
kinda.
And on top of that, And he was trying to make sure Peter was still conscious because he was drifting in and out.
You can see him fading away. Even with the mask still on, you can see him starting to slump over, and then he jerks back to attention when Norman hits him in the back of the head.
Hey, Spider-Man, yo, rap with me, brother.
That's painful.
Not to say I don't have fun watching him, because I do, but if it's supposed to be taken seriously, well, I think the Green Goblin put it best.
Misery, misery, misery. That's what you've chosen.
Okay, no.
The number one dumbest Spider-Man moment is...
I am not prepared for this. I have seen this video, but I don't remember what this is.
the dance scene.
Alright. You're going to need to make a very good argument for why this is right next to Norman Osborn.
Yeah, I may like Spider-Man 3, but anyone can tell you that this is the
The dance scene ends with him smacking Mary Jane. So, you know.
dumbest thing ever. It breaks the mood. It changes everything. It sucks out any amount of seriousness you were going for.
Not really. Because it ends with them underscoring that the symbiote's not a good thing.
Let me tell you, when people saw this poster and they saw this trailer, this is not what they were expecting to see.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that.
This is straight up Jerry Lewis, right out of The Nutty Professor.
Okay, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen that film, but I can somewhat agree.
Even by Spider-Man movie standards, this is too silly. It's like if Superman got on stage and tap danced, or
if, you know, they had the weird fucking sequence in Superman 2 where he beats up a guy who is now no longer stronger than he is, or hell, that entire sequence is actually just bullshit on both ends of the power spectrum.
No wait. Hey, Alex, what about that one scene in Superman 3 after he starts to have that weird thing going on from the artificial kryptonite, and he just sits there in the bar drinking himself into a stupor? He's like, oh god, I need that.
Yeah,
I need that to get through this movie.
That whole fucking thing, Jesus Christ.
Wolverine went to a burlesque and did the can-can.
He's by an
You know
Australian
what?
Broadway dancer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know what? That's just Hugh Jackman's live shows.
Or if no,
Linkara, you can go fuck yourself. That's this scene does not make any sense.
But what bothered me personally about this scene is the scene that follows. We go from something so silly and so over the top to Peter hitting his girlfriend and then crouched over a church. Now,
right. I mean, there's plenty of things to be said about this, one of which being the fact that, like, the argument that can be made in favor of this is that Peter has lost all of his inhibitions, and this is what brings him back down to Earth and realizes that some of the things that the symbiote's doing to him are not good. You know? Like, he's starting to realize it around the time that Aunt May is like, what the fuck happened, you know? Well, the thing about him, you know, killing Sandman, maybe.
And then there's also the fact that in Spectacular, it took Flash friggin' Thompson, of all people, to get Peter to realize that he was being way out of character. Flash Thompson!
And the thing about Peter, like, beating the fuck out of Harry, you remember that?
Yeah!
Even with Harry going on down the path
obviously,
he did, Jesus
this
Christ.
is your big emotional moment of the movie. But a few seconds ago, it was followed by this. That doesn't work. You can't throw
A few seconds ago it was followed by this. No, that's not how phrasing works. You're gonna need to run that back for me, Doug.
all those things together one after another. I'm a monster.
I mean, if anything would wake him up to that, it would have been that sequence, but, you know.
I mean, look at this. If I just showed you this without any context, would you ever guess that this was from a Spider-Man movie? No, you'd say it was an outtake from the movie Chicago. Except even Chicago would be this silly.
I was gonna say, I've seen Chicago,
this
it
is what
doesn't
killed
do that.
Spider-Man 3 for them. This was the step that went too far. They could survive some of the plot holes, they could even survive Emo Peter, but they couldn't survive...
Okay, so you literally show a sequence that makes him look like Spider-Man in the thing where you say, if I showed you this out of context, would it be seen to be Spider-Man? Doug, did you think this through?
It was too cartoony,
No.
too out of nowhere, and too far removed from anything that people would consider Spider-Man. So yeah, Spider-Man 3 has the absolute worst moment of
Doug, turn down the exposure on your camera for the love of fucking God.
all the movies, but does that mean it deserves to be shunned away from the others? Why was
Yeah, he used the YouTube automatic music removal for this.
this one deemed so terrible when the other two had silly moments as well?
I mean, like, there's a greater degree of silly moments in Spider-Man 3 than there are in the other films. I know you don't agree, but it's objectively true.
My thought is it's one of two reasons. Either audiences were finally sick of all the silliness and wanted a more grown-up comic book movie.
No.
Thank you. Or maybe Sam Raimi pushed the boundaries of what he could get away with and simply...
No, it wasn't Raimi who made these decisions. Like, Raimi had a lot of this stuff was made so that they could try and start pushing towards a Sinister Six movie that never got made, so that they could start working on more spin-offs, and more tie-in material, and more merchandising, and things that ultimately didn't happen. The production history of Spider-Man 3 is quite a troubled one. We kind of went over it. There's a bunch of footage that got shot for the film that never got used, so... Well, the budget was so high.
Went too far. I personally would like to see a more serious Spider-Man movie made. I know Sam Raimi can direct serious films, I mean, really good ones. So I guess I was a little disappointed when I saw the tone these movies were going for. But when I calmed down, I did see the hard work that was put into them and how a lot of the issues they discussed do still hold up.
I will take these films over Phase 5 of the MCU any fucking day. Complete and utter earnestness with a little bit of comedic humor thrown in for good measure over joke, well, that just happened, joke. MODOK. Fucking MODOK, that's all I have to say.
Like I said, though, I just wouldn't take it too seriously.
Why not take it seriously? We can take it seriously. These movies took themselves seriously. Why can't you?
It's goofy, fun action that actually does have some dramatic moments every once in a while.
Every once in a while, you...
They're not masterpieces, but I don't think they're supposed to be.
No, Doug. They're not masterpieces, but I don't think they're supposed to be. If you think this about these films, but you praise The Dark Knight. Like, The Dark Knight is not appreciably more than any of these. I don't know what to say, especially like Spider-Man 1. Come on. Spider-Man 2, even.
They're just silly comic book movies. Nothing.
The Dark Knight has a bunch of silly comic book stuff in it, too, and it's got, like, Raimi-level humor as well.
Yeah.
More. I keep hearing they're gonna do a reboot of these movies, and I think...
Keep hearing. I mean, you could have phrased that better, considering that this image was already out by then. They are making
I'm
one.
pretty curious to see them. Maybe the new films will find that more serious road, which I'll
I mean, they kind of did, and then they didn't, and then they got canceled.
admit is a challenge. Costumed heroes
Fuck
are
you,
hard
Amy
to take
Pascal.
seriously. But
Fuck
movies
you,
have
Tom
shown that it
Rothman.
not only can be done, but it can be done very well. And until that reboot comes out, I'm gonna enjoy all the silliness and over-the-top scenes that these movies have to offer. Every web-slinging minute of it. I'm a nostalgia critic. I remember it, so you don't have to.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right. Go ahead
So-
and... Yeah, I can hear the remnants of a Danny Elfman here. So, old versus new...
No!
I'm sorry, what?
You're on old versus...
There we go. I'm not doing that, by the way. With My Little Pony...
Neither am I.
My Little Pony Ghost Rider. I love the Halloween Nostalgia Critic intro.
Why so glum, Critic?
Hello, Black
It's
Bully
this
Wonka
hyper
from the
fangirl
Lorax
last
review.
She asked me out on a date, I said no, and now she's doing that Facebook thing where she writes down these very vague, miserable messages, but then asks people not to ask her about it.
My life is hell. Don't ask why.
I hate vague posting.
There is no hope for humanity. Don't ask why.
1 minute later.
I am the saddest and loneliest person who has no friends to ask her about her problems. Don't ask why!
Well, why don't you just unfriend her?
I can't do that. She's a fan. That means somewhere there's a glimmer of brilliance trying to get out.
You can always mute her.
Well, as a popular holdover from the last
Old
review,
Facebook,
I
back when
recommend
Facebook was
either
actually
compromise
usable.
Or caramelizing her until her insides are stretchy and sweet.
Well, maybe there's
Why is
something to be
Black
said
Willy
about
Wonka
that.
characterized as more of a psycho than the original?
Maybe there's something to be said about compromising. I'm gonna contact her. You don't destroy anything.
And make no promises.
Bye, Malcolm.
You are a whiny and pathetic little loser. Don't ask why!
Hello?
Is that you, my hipster love?
I'm not a hipster! Second, I'm doing an old versus new of the Spider-Man movies. I heard you were a Spider-Man fan.
I may have dabbled.
Alright.
Both movie series were a huge hit, bringing in a brand new audience to enjoy the web-slinging Spider-Man himself. But as you would expect, audiences seem to be very split on which series is actually the better Spider-Man series. Which one had the better story, which one had the better action, which one had the better villains, and of course, which one had the better Spider-Man.
Oh, it's a deleted scene from TASM 2.
But we all know the new Spider-Man films are better, so I guess there's no purpose to.
Whoa, wait a minute. The new ones aren't better. The old ones blow the new ones out of the water.
Oh, come
That
on, with
in-
Thierry Maguire.
Oh, I'm sorry. He did overstay his welcome, like that whopping 2 minutes of the Rhino.
Maybe there is a bit to talk about with
This
these
is some
Spider-Man
pretty
movies.
bad
What do
argumentation
you say we
from
go
both
over
sides
them
of this
together
straw
as
man. Hi,
friends?
Optimus
And no
Prime.
getting super obsessed over anything. Got it?
Like you need
Hyper
to ask.
fan. Ah.
Well, no use in delaying the battle. This is fan versus fan in the newly restored old versus new.
Why is she throwing a football up in the air to hit it with a baseball bat?
Now keep in mind, this is all opinion based, and naturally there's going to be a ton of spoilers. Also keep in mind that we're going to move the order around a little bit. Seeing how the name of the movie is Spider-Man, it only makes sense to judge Spider-Man last.
Let's talk more Spider.
With that said, let's take a look at story first.
Okay.
Now, it's pretty obvious that anyone who can take a story about a kid being stricken with super spider powers seriously deserves a lot of credit.
Oh, that editing.
I am the combing. The combing. Doug, find better footage.
These films take very different approaches.
The original
Actually, why is the Spider-Man 1 footage so washed out there?
looks at it more from a comic book point of view, with over-the-top action, funky camera angles, and classic mad scientist stories.
Sadly, the dialogue is just as corny too.
Doug, that is a you problem. Go fuck yourself.
Where the new version tries to tackle the story more like a movie, with more
And the new version also kind of adapts the comics. It just adapts different comics plainly differently. You know, like it's more, you know, slightly more modern, a bit less 60s throwback.
realistic characters, a grittier
Yeah.
tone, and a spy thriller edge.
Spy thriller edge. What? Doug, I like this film. I've never seen that fucking concept.
But if it's based on a comic book, wouldn't you want it to be more like a comic?
But if you're turning it into a movie, wouldn't you want it to be more like a movie?
No, fuck movies. Movies are bad.
This is where the big debate comes in. We know the original has a lot of corny moments, but you could
Skeletons.
That's a corny moment to you.
TASM does not have Macho Man Randy Savage. That automatically makes the Raimi Man movies better.
He should have wrestled John Cena.
argue it's part of the classic
Fuck
comic
yeah, he should have.
Yeah.
book style, just like the original Superman movies were. This is why you think
No, the original Superman movies really didn't maintain a lot of the then current comic books. They were more of a throwback to the Silver Age comics, and in fact actually kind of caused the comics to regress a little bit well into the Bronze Age. Took until like the mid-'80s to recover. Don't ask me how I know all this stuff. I'm not incredibly bitter about the things that they did to the Superman
You sound
comics
very
back then.
bitter.
I am. I'm lying.
It'd be obvious that the original had a more complicated comic book story, and the new one would keep it
More complicated comic book story. It's a fairly simple comic book story.
to a self-contained 2-hour flick. But
What? Doug, that's just incorrect.
no, it's surprisingly backwards. The original films are actually very easy to follow. Boy
The Amazing Spider-Man 1 is also pretty easy to follow.
loves girl, gets powers and turns into a superhero, fights off supervillains who most of the time are his best friends, with great power.
Most of the timers, but no! No. The first two were mentor figures, and then in the last one, it was his best friend, the guy who killed his uncle, and his arch rival at the newspaper.
Power comes great responsibility.
The new films, on the other hand, has all of that, plus his parents disappeared when he was
Alright, so his parents disappeared when he was younger in the original as well. They just cut those scenes out of the movie.
young.
Okay, fair enough.
They discover a biological miracle that could be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, that entirely depends on which era of the Spider-Man comics you're talking about.
A plan is underway to create a league of supervillains.
Okay, yeah, that was fucking dumb. It shouldn't have been... Like, you shouldn't have had it... Having the fucking octopus arms and the vulture wings in the basement was fucking stupid.
Got it.
Which results in 3 villains in one movie whose motivations all have to be started from the ground up.
I mean, you know, the Goblin should have been cut out of the film entirely. Rhino could have been more prominent, you know, doing this stuff. Kind of like Alex O'Hearn was in, and Flint Marko were in Spectacular, to come to think of it.
Oh, and then there was also, Max in Spectacular, who was voiced by the ever amazing Crispin Freeman.
And, of course, we also had Vulture.
Voiced by the ever magnificent and Robert Englund.
Yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man did everything that TASM 2 tried to do and better.
Well, as axing off other characters who are just going to be replaced with new ones that'll take time to establish.
See your point.
Yeah, you know, that's part of the reason why I hate killing off Gwen Stacy, because she had such amazing chemistry with Peter in the first film and in this one, that killing her off at the end of this one kind of fucked everything up, especially considering they had Emma Stone on contract for like 9 more films. I wonder how they were going to achieve that. It probably had something to do with clones.
Oh, and Ghost Leary. Play the...
It looks like
Play
Jason
the
and
video,
Black Cat
Kronk.
haven't had much screen time yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Jyn Erso was in this film as Black Cat.
Oh, and Ghost Leary.
Yeah, and the fact that
Yes, for
the fact that Jameson wasn't in this film, the fact that Martin Sheen wasn't in this film,
did always have a flowing 3-act structure.
TASM 2, obviously.
Even the third one that had 3 villains. Each one still had established motivations and arcs. Hell, some of them even took the extra time to build their story arcs early. Harry starts off as an early villain in 3, but we had 2 movies prior showing exactly why. The second Amazing Spider-Man threw 3 new villains at us, all having to be established. That's way too much to throw in a
Yeah, I mean, if they'd have just kept Rhino to the background, had him be like a low-level criminal who gets, you know, he keeps getting busted by Spider-Man, kind of like he was in Spectacular, or we could have had him be built up to be the villain of the third movie.
and still be emotionally invested in all of them.
Yeah, have you ever seen the deleted scenes from Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2? With where Harry is like exposing the weird shit that Oscorp was doing to Peter? Kevin?
No.
Okay. It kind of contradicts some of the things that happened later on. It makes me wonder what the film was like before all the reshoots happened. And the rewrites from the guys who ruined Transformers.
The original still took time for every character. And yeah, a lot of it was silly, but it still allowed us time to make, at the very least, a little bit of a connection with all of them.
So does that mean?
Yes, as much as I hate to admit it, the original Spider-Man films did have a better understanding of a flowing narrative.
I mean, Spider-Man 3 versus The Amazing Spider-Man 1, I wouldn't exactly say that, but okay.
Goes to the old.
When I win, we all win.
Oh, shut up.
Is that the Dio font?
I think.
Sing me a song, you're a singer.
Oh, it's story and an action.
Do me
To the
all
Transformers films,
wrong.
nothing. This is...
I mean, a story in an action film is make or break because it connects all of the action set pieces. And if we don't have a good story connecting the action set pieces, I don't care about the action. I'm just fucking angry at you. See Transformers 2 and Transformers 3.
Hence why he made that Transformers joke.
And Transformers 5, actually. Why are you
Spoilers,
using
it's
two
gonna
fonts?
go... Spoilers, this is going to the new one.
Yeah, of course it is.
Now this one is really tough as both movies have their high points and low points in terms of action. For example, the first time I saw Spider-Man hanging upside down, it was pretty cool to see. We've only seen that in drawings, and to see that pose physically come to life was pretty cool. Also, a few moves incorporating his powers like this are always fun to see too.
Yeah, that was really cool.
The action was surprisingly underwhelming.
I wouldn't say that myself, but
giant balloons and fighting to hold onto a giant car from a bridge, but they all looked a little too slow and honestly kind of phony. The CG was a little too rubbery at times, and a lot of these moves look more like a Disney stunt show than they did an actual fight going on.
I mean, I'll take this over shaky cam cut, shaky cam cut, shaky cam cut, shaky cam cut, you know?
It just didn't seem very fast.
Yeah.
Just a little too rehearsed. With the
Thinking
newer
about
films,
you, Black
the
Widow.
fighting is a lot more slick, blending in fast acrobatics with the speed of what CGI can do.
Yeah, and well, the wider shots and the better CGI has definitely benefited the Amazing Spider-Man films.
But with that said, the setups were a little bit more mundane. A fight in the sewer is not a very riveting location.
I mean, like, I don't know what to say.
Or a school, for that matter.
The school is literally Peter's school, like, there's stakes here, or, like, you don't want to destroy
Midtown
the
High.
place.
I mean, okay, cars hanging off of a bridge is pretty neat, but didn't we already do saving cars from a bridge already?
No, that's a cable car, not an actual car.
Wait, are you dismissing the incredible train chase in Spider-Man 2?
No, I was just getting to that.
Oh, good. I thought I was gonna have to caramelize your insides until they're stretchy and sweet.
You know, I don't like how that's becoming a thing.
That
The
callback
train
is
sequence is
very
where
strange,
things got
guys.
really good with the older movies. Yeah, it's obviously CG, but the creativity and the speed and the way each moment built on top of one another, it's just a jolt. I felt like I
Yeah, there's a difference between obviously CG and obviously CG that's, like, shit, you know?
needed a nap after seeing that scene. Even in Spider-Man 3, the fight sequences incorporated the CG with the actors much better. This way, when Harry and Peter are fighting each other, you don't see computer-generated puppets, you see Harry and Peter actually fighting each other. But I think what works a little better with the newer versions is that because the locations are kept so simple, it allows you to feel the
I mean, the locations aren't exactly simple. Skyscrapers, you know?
urgency of every move, despite how
Skyscraper, power
it's like
plant.
watching Jackie Chan as a web slinger.
Yeah, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a lot of complicated set pieces.
You just feel the weight,
Yeah.
but also the speed of how he operates. When Spider-Man holds that
They made a
car on
fucking
the bridge in
documentary
the
about
first
how
film,
complicated
we don't really get a feeling of how
these
heavy it is because
set
they
pieces were
never
in that
really
film.
showed how strong
It's
his
actually
powers
really
could be.
interesting seeing
At
how
least
they
not
pulled
to
off
that
all the,
With the new one, you
like this one right here. This is what I was talking about. Now, there is an entire
they're fighting in
behind-the-scenes featurette about this.
Yeah, and they're also fighting in Times Square.
Uh-huh, and not exactly an uncomplicated shot.
feel how heavy everything is. It takes effort to hold that car, but not quite beyond his range. The slow-mo is
So-
also utilized much.
So let me get this straight, hey Doug. You're more willing to accept how the weight of a cop car being held by Spider-Man, but not a cable car being barely held by one unhand.
Yeah, literally slipping through his hands, lubricated by his own blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Ugh, the thought of that alone makes me shiver. Fucking shredding your palm on the harsh metal. What was it? Pulls apart the skin. Jesus Christ.
In the original, I never got why they slowed certain scenes down.
To emphasize the action of the scene, this is like people who complain about Zack Snyder's use of slow motion. You don't... If there's slow motion, it's probably there so that you can see what's going on a little bit better.
Is watching him get hit just to hold onto the car again like we saw before really deserving of watching one?
His girlfriend and a bunch of people are about to potentially fall to their deaths. If this went by any faster, it wouldn't work.
More time so closely? With the new one, it's like watching a ninja Sherlock Holmes. You see a
I mean, okay.
car flying towards him, one web shooter goes out, and his spider sense is picking up that others are going to be dead if they touch the rail. This needs to be slowed down because we need to see in a split second not only what the problem is, but how
I mean, not only
he's
what's
going to get out of it.
Okay, that's exactly what we were doing in the other one, too. You're just not getting that.
Making his recovery from it all the more impressive. I guess I just saw more of the effort and the technique with the new Spider-Man movies. Not that there was none with the original, but it's kind of like Indiana Jones. You
what?
constantly feel the sweat and tears going into all his moves. Where half the original just kind of looked like a Power Rangers episode.
People keep
in
making
mind,
that
Doug does not-
comparison. I have
Keep in
absolutely
mind, Doug
no
does
idea
not-
why.
Keep in mind, Doug does not like Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's fucking strange.
His criticisms for Power Rangers are not the same ones that I've made.
His criticisms for Power Rangers have been really fucking strange from what I remember.
My criticisms were wasting a lot of time on all of these other pointless plot lines when
Bad
we could be
editing,
a
wasting
progressing
time,
story.
you know. Oh. Like that's generally speaking my criticisms of bad episodes of Power Rangers as well.
Spider-Man is swinging around.
And the thing is, there are times where people I've actually talked to who work on the show are like, oh, yeah, we get that. And we understand.
Oh no. Oh, the first season was like 60-something episodes. They were stretching that for every cent they had.
Feel like you're swinging around with him. The original just kept it at a
MC,
medium shot,
what was that?
always like you're watching a video game version. And seeing how being a web slinger flying through the city was a big part of Spider-Man's charm, that makes a big difference.
Why is MC in the lower right-hand corner there?
To get right too.
Where'd you get this clip from?
Close call, but I think I am gonna go with the new films for the better action.
I'm still not convinced. Name one other moment that was better than the original.
The best Stan Lee cameo ever.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty good.
Point goes to the new.
Yeah, that was good.
But action is only deserving if it's going to a good purpose. Is there anything more evil than comic book villains?
Actual murderers?
And you made it
Movie executives.
weird. This is best villains.
You asked.
Original Green Goblin takes it, no question about it.
Yep.
Dane DeHaan shouldn't have been
Again,
Green
in
Goblin.
many respects, a tough choice.
Green Goblin shouldn't have been in that
Nobody
film.
is born into crime or just chooses crime anymore. They
I mean,
all come from experiments gone horribly wrong.
like, you can't exactly say that Kurt Connors didn't choose certain things in that
Oh
film.
no, science! Owner of a booming, profitable business? Oh no, science!
Desperation, wanting to keep from losing his company and the contract, you know, kind of thing.
Science.
Yeah.
Science? Oh.
Read the old comics. Pick up Marvel Masterworks Volume 1. Great little crash course.
No, science! Most of these villains have a ton of time devoted to them. And they need to, seeing how most of them suffer from Hammy, Jekyll, and Hyde-itis.
I've already been over this. I don't like your comparisons, Doug. I don't like your dismissiveness.
Seriously, did we ever get one that didn't have a split personality?
That's not his split person. Oh, fuck it.
Oh, what? You've never had the voices of a loved one mentally
I
torturing you
hear
inside?
voices in my head. They counsel me.
neither have I.
They understand.
Quiet, Grandma.
They talk to me.
The only one who seemed to
They
get annoyingly
talk to
sidelined in the
me.
original was
Yeah.
Beth, who went from being one of the coolest jock badass villains of all time to that whiny 70s show kid asking Jesus if he could perform a hit for him. That's actually an accurate way of describing this scene. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, I'm sure that's how it works.
I come before you today to ask you for one thing. I want you to kill Peter Parker.
Okay.
I mean, like, the fact that he gets the power to do so here is kind of neat.
But it's gonna cost you some Hail Marys.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I mean, he did do that in the comics.
Yeah.
Rushed? What about Edward Electronigma? His
That is
It's Jim Carrey.
That's an interesting... Hi, it's Black Jim Carrey.
turn was so quick he could win the Indy 500 with it.
Okay, granted, it wasn't.
Jamie Foxx. Just.
Hey, at least the wig makes
Jamie
him look
Foxx
a little bit
is a
more nerdy, you know? the
Jamie
wig and the
Foxx is a
glasses.
Jamie Foxx is way too much charisma to be a weepy nerd like Matt. Thanks. Because this is why I thought his portrayal in No Way Home was much better.
I do have to admit, him in No Way Home was really good.
Because of all the
And he's like,
I like Jamie Foxx as an actor.
You
He's
gotta
a,
admit, you've known a lot of weirdos
Right.
in your time.
he was
like,
in Django.
you guys
Django
are-
was great.
Like, you guys are gonna look at me as though I'm not butt-ass naked.
Strange things on the turn of a dime.
But there's no time to show his change. He forcefully becomes obsessed with Spider-Man,
Yeah, it could have been better.
forcefully becomes a supervillain, and
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that could have been better. That was fine. I mean, if they did it the way they did in the comics, that would have been cool too. But meh.
forcefully decides he now hates Spider-Man.
Meh.
The other movies at least gave more of a progression.
He doesn't need much progression. He's just a weirdo.
Meh.
Well, all weirdos have stories too.
Look,
I mean, he does need progression. Characters always need progression. They either start where we need them to be, or they... Like, come on.
is it so hard to grasp that
Or
sometimes
they need to
strange
get where we
people
need them
just
to
do
be.
strange things?
Hi, Hyper. How's it going? Got a new fan art? I'm working on a slash fiction between. Oh my god, is that the
You can tell that Doug doesn't know what slash fiction is if he thinks a dude's working on it.
nostalgia critic?
Yes, Mac.
Hi, how you doing?
He said hi to me. I am instantly in love with you.
What?
This is a straw man in skit form.
What? What do you mean, what? Are you doubting our connection?
I didn't say
That's
that.
it. From now on, you and me are enemies.
What?
I'm not saying they couldn't have developed Max's relationship with Spider-Man a little bit better and made it so that, you know, he, it's not that it's a bad idea. Like, you're criticizing it like it's a bad idea. It's the execution that was the problem.
There you go again with that word. What? You just better pray nothing powerfully bizarre happens to me.
What?
Something powerfully bizarre happened to me.
What?
Okay, then.
I got bit by a lightning bug while I
Ah.
drank Red Bull. Now I'm all electric.
How the hell is that possible?
I don't know. It's just science. Now we'll make you pay for your insulin.
Don't you mean insolence?
That too.
Okay, then.
Well, I don't know about you, but that made a bunch of sense to me.
Point taken.
We will be right back with the Nostalgia Critic after these messages.
I'm so distracted by that weird little squiggle that's by the... Yeah, by this right here.
We're back with the
Speaking
Nostalgia
of
Critic.
wasted villains, do I even need to bring up the Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2?
It does kind of go without saying that the villain,
Hi, Daily Bugle building.
as
Hey, creases in the suit. We could have had those.
well as choosing great acting giant Paul Giamatti to play him,
Yeah, that was very strange, because Paul Giamatti would have been perfect to tease in that, and then you go on to Spider-Man 3, and it's like, oh, he's the main villain.
Was pretty much pointless. I know, I'm sure they're building him up for another
Great
sequel
opening
where
set.
he'll be pushed to the side
Yeah, he didn't even show up in No Way Home.
again for other villains, but by God, imagine you're Paul Giamatti and you've gotten the role in one of the Spider-Man movies, one of the biggest superhero franchises of all time. How
I would love to play a villain in a Spider-Man film. Disney, Sony, call me. I'll play anybody. I'll play fucking Judas Traveler if I have to.
would you react if you found out that you were only in it for a couple of
Alex,
moments?
Alex. What if you play a Spider-Man villain that is considered the biggest sexual deviant, and all of your lines will just be about how you want to have sex with certain things, and they aren't women.
Well, unfortunately, the CEO of Sex is already cast, so I can't be Ned Leeds. Just as long as I don't have to be Paul, you know?
It's your favorite client.
Checking in on the Spider-Man role, huh?
So what's happening? There's still no word, huh?
Well, actually, there is word.
Right? And?
You're playing one of the main villains, the Rhino, but only exactly for 2 minutes.
I don't think it was exactly 2 minutes. I think it was a little bit less than that, but yeah.
Isn't that great?
I mean, it was supposed to lead to a larger role later on, but the president of Sony canceled The Amazing Spider-Man 3 because Andrew Garfield was sick and didn't want to show up to a press conference jet-lagged and with the flu. So,
But come on, the Wizard's got a lot of sympathy and attention, and Harry Osborn's relationship with Peter was certainly given a good amount of time. And
I liked his relationship with Harry. I wish they hadn't fucked it up at the end of the movie.
both of them played their roles much more seriously than the
No, they didn't. Fuck you. Fuck you. No, no. In no way, shape, or form did Harry Osborn get treated more seriously towards the end of his movie than Norman Osborn or Harry did in the original trilogy. I'm sorry, nostalgia critic. That ain't how it went.
the goofiness of Defoe, Molina, and so on. All of the villains from the original were completely over the top.
All right, if you can answer this one question correctly, I'll admit defeat.
Okay, shoot.
What is one line of dialogue any of the villains have in the new movie?
Poor Peter Parker.
You have no mother, no father,
Spider-Man.
No
uncle,
uncle.
and no bitches.
This is why Superman works alone.
Now, how about the
Alex, why is it my version ends up being the one we just both?
Peter Parker, smart but lazy. You knew this was coming, Pete. The itsy bitsy spy.
That's the one that... That's the one that you always bring up. It's stuck in my head. Please stop using that shitty fucking TV rip of Spider-Man 1.
The new movies try to be somewhat more realistic. It can't go all out and therefore aren't as memorable.
Couldn't you have said, don't you know, I'm Electro?
Even when they do go all out, it doesn't match the rest of the movie and comes off as kind of silly.
I mean, like, that wasn't the major criticism that I had of Harry Osborn Green Goblin. It was more that he existed at all.
Yeah, as much as Harry seemed more messed up in the newer films, I do remember the conflict in the original ones much more. Even the birth of the Sandman. There's no line of dialogue in that scene, but you completely feel every bit of emotion because they let it play out.
And it's still better CGI on this sequence than the entirety of Ant-Man and the Wasp 3.
One of the greatest supervillain bursts I've ever seen in a movie. The newer films seem more concerned about squeezing in too much for building other sequels. Even though
Yeah, that's fair.
I do take them a little bit more seriously, I do find the old villains are just more colorful, threatening, interesting, and
Yeah.
just all around more memorable.
Frankly, I'll take any of these over the bullshit we've had throughout Phase 4 and 5. Like, the High Evolutionary and Wanda and the borrowed villains from No Way Home are the closest we've gotten to, like, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I even like Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Sure, a lot of it's kind of dumb, but that's part of the comic book style. It's kind of like watching a
I mean, it's
Tim
not
Curry
dumb. You think it's
performance versus a
dumb, but...
Henry Fonda performance. You know Henry Fonda is going to give a good performance, and it's probably going to be better, but...
Jesus Christ, Doug, how old are you?
You also know that Curry is going to be much more entertaining and leave a much bigger impact on you.
Sure.
And seeing how the villains play a big part in a comic book movie, it's probably best to side with the ones you remember the most. So, yeah, as much as I hate to let something as goofy as this pass...
Tell me how!
That's your opinion.
Heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
I have to admit, it probably is more fitting than the alternative. So yeah, I had to accept defeat. Point goes to the old.
You made Grandma very happy.
What?
Nothing.
What?
And now we get the one that we also know is going to go to the new one.
A little bit of love.
Ooh, can I do the lead-in for this one?
No.
But I have the perfect love sonnet.
You said we would just do this as friends.
I promise it has nothing to do with anything. Then why are you even
And
saying it?
I will always love you. I will always... She hits him with pinky
Okay,
pie.
then.
Please love you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could cut all pretenses and say that the new one is going to end up winning.
Yeah.
And this
You know
one-
what?
Like,
and here's the thing.
me put-
I thought Emma Stone should have come back to play Mary Jane Watson.
Okay. So here's the thing. And Mary Jane in the Raimi Man movie isn't as bad as people would make her out to be.
No, yeah, even as like I've been somewhat
And the
hyperbolic
thing is,
about
Mary
her in
Jane.
the past as well.
Here's the
But
thing: Mary Jane also has this struggle of finding self-worth since she's always been, told that she's never going to amount to anything or is not good enough.
yes,
So that's kind of the problem why she ends up doing a lot of the things that try to kind of validate her, because she wants to validate herself. And Peter finds quite a bit of value in her. So that's kind of why I wouldn't really give MJ that much crap.
yeah, because
at the very
MJ
least,
has and this is canon to the comics as well. MJ has a fucked up family life.
And
The
meanwhile,
fact that she
Gwen
turned out as
Stacy,
well as
it's
she
like,
did is almost a miracle.
and meanwhile, Gwen Stacy, we love her, but at the same time, I feel like she's shoehorned more into the movies as they go on as about as much as Lois Lane is in some of the animated DC movie. It's like she's there when the plot needs her.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, and
at
that's
least
kind
we're
of
not at full Gwen Stacy overload like we've gotten lately.
yeah. Anyway,
Why don't you start with the original?
Oh no, that'd be rude.
No, seriously.
keep in mind, Doug has put Mary Jane in his top 11 dumbasses in distress. So yeah, he already doesn't like her, or to start with.
I want to hear you defend this one.
It's your show. You should start.
Oh, please. You're the guest on the show.
I
Everyone
can't-
figures
you have
that
the
you should do it
jacket.
first.
I
I
shove
mean,
these
come on. You've
pecs,
always been so
please. I
adamant
can't
about
do
going
it.
in
Your
there first
glasses
and
are
showing
better
what's so
than
great about
mine.
you. Name one good thing about Mary Jane.
She has pretty hair?
Mary Jane sucks.
Okay, yeah, she kind
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, to
And that's
be fair,
somewhat
let's
fair.
talk
I wish they hadn't done, because if like she has a great foundation to start with in Spider-Man 1, and then they kind of go off the rails a little bit. But the problem is that her actions don't really make that... They're not that poor as compared to, like, some things that they could be.
She's much better in Spectacular.
Very much so, very much so. I love her in Spectacular Spider-Man.
Voiced by Vanessa Marshall.
Peter around, though, to be fair.
No. Oh, she's not dicking Peter around. She's getting dicked around by other people. Get it right.
And on top of that, Mary Jane, the only reason why she ended up going to the astronauts is because she wanted Peter to make the first move, but he didn't.
He never did.
So that's why she did.
Mm-hmm.
He does it
That
just
was-
as much to her as she does to him. She is given a bit of an interesting backstory with her coming from a broken home, and Kristen Dunst does everything in her power to make this an interesting character. But aside from that, she is a tool. She is something for Peter Parker to chase. She's someone for him to save, someone to
I mean, she does have her own decisions that she makes outside of this.
always be concerned about.
Yeah.
There are deleted scenes
She at
in
least is-
Spider-Man 2 that
He at least is a
enhance
character
this.
outside. She at least has a life outside of Peter Parker, whereas Gwen Stacy, I can't really say the same for her. Look, I love Gwen
in the
Stacy,
Amazing
I really
Spider-Man
do.
films, I will say that she does have a life outside of Peter Parker. Unfortunately, that is part of the problem with the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But then,
Because at first she had a life, but then she doesn't.
man, you know what? We'll get to this when we get to Spider-Man Far From Home. But yeah.
someone to look at him in awe, someone to always give him pity. In short, she's only there to make Spider-Man look good. She's not a character, she's a character's girlfriend. Someone to be appealing superhero arm candy. Someone to look pretty in Spider-Man's...
Oh, Gizmo would hate this.
The comics
Yeah.
have written her much better over the years and have
Yes,
given her a
very
truly
much so.
defined identity.
But the
She's a great character in the comics, which is why everybody likes her as Peter Parker's wife, and why there will not be a heaven waiting for Joe Quesada when he dies.
movies,
No, she still kind of sucks at this.
it doesn't help either that the romantic dialogue given makes it practically impossible for them to have any chemistry to begin with.
You're taller
Bullshit.
I hunch.
Don't.
I'm benign.
Stupid.
We belong together. Also, the fact that she's dated every male character who got 2 seconds of screen time in these films. Seriously, who was this guy again?
My son,
John.
the astronaut.
Oh yeah, how can we forget?
John
him?
Jonah Jameson III.
In the new
Yeah.
movies, we got Gwen Stacy, who, face facts, is just 10 million times more interesting. She's a science genius. She's got a good sense of humor. She's constantly helping Peter in every way possible.
I
and I mean,
agree.
like, actually help. Not just cheering him on or saying you have my support, but actually coming up with scientific reasonings to defeat the villains.
The antidote is cooking.
No. Connors is on the way. You leave right now.
I'm gonna get everybody out.
Did you hear? You mother Hubbard.
Remember the last time Mary Jane tried to
I
help?
love that one. I love that sequence.
On top
Come
of that,
on!
I'm just gonna say it. Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, they're just fucking adorable.
We're not
Yes, they
criticizing
are.
Mary Jane. I'm like,
Place you could have chosen. This is the stupidest hiding place.
Take us to the Bahamas of hiding place.
I mean, I have no problem believing both these two are in love. Their chemistry is beyond precious. They made me use the word precious. That's how good it is.
I'm coming with you. You know that you need me.
Sorry, I love you. Don't hate me.
It's a million times better than the forced romantic dialogue from the first film.
You saw her for the first
Horse.
time. You grabbed me and said, Aunt May?
oh,
Angel?
If by angel you mean a lifeless statue who does nothing but looks pretty. The only time we see Mary Jane start to form her own character was in 3, when we see for once she needs support given to her instead of the other way around. But even then, that's done so much better in the newer films. She's off to Harvard, she has huge opportunities.
Yeah, I think it would have been much better if they'd have written it so that, like, her and Peter were on the same kind of track, you know?
yeah.
Rather than them being, you know, drifting apart.
He's ahead of her, and if anything,
Yeah.
Spider-Man is going to work around her schedule. In the old, we still gotta wait 2 movies before Mary Jane even figures out that he's Spider-Man.
I was in the neighborhood. I was in the neighborhood.
Oh, come on, he's
I mean-
not even disguising his voice. Will you?
Arguably, she should have figured it out at the end of the first film.
Yeah.
I kind of don't like where they went with that in Spider-Man 2. I don't like a lot of things about Spider-Man 2. Have I made that obvious yet?
You've made it abundantly clear that you are not into good
Back and
movies.
forth whether or not they even want to be in a relationship, and that's no fun. We want to see them like each other. We want to see them get along. We want to see them go through actual relationship stuff. And in 3, we started to until we got that whole bullshit about Harry forcing him to break up, and bada bang, we're back to the same bullshit that we started with before. I swear, if they followed through and killed off the girlfriend at the bridge scene like they did in the comic, I wouldn't have given a crap in the original. But because of how likable their relationship is in the newer films, it's a legitimately sad departure.
But the original was much closer to how that scene should have worked.
Maybe in the conflict between Peter and the Goblin, but in the new one, they not only got the tragedy of losing somebody dear to you, but also of being so close to saving them, yet ultimately resulting in their destruction. And to me, that's a much more...
Josh Keaton did that scene so much justice.
Yes. Also, Doug, your footage is blurry as shit.
Yeah.
Please either learn how to encode or buy a fucking Blu-ray drive.
Tragic and
I
heartbreaking
hope
angle.
you... Oh my god. It makes me want to fucking die looking at this shit.
Interesting even if you took Spider-Man out of
Excuse
the
me?
equation. Mary Jane would not be.
When did this video come out? Know when this video came out. I'm gonna look, see when this video came out, because I need to... I'm wondering about something.
An inquiring mind wishes to know.
Old versus new Spider-Man movies.
New one, they not only...
Originally aired 5/20/2014. Doug, Blu-ray drives existed at this point in time. High-definition rips of these films existed at this time. You more than had the capability of acquiring those high-definition rips at this time. I still have my Blu-ray rip of Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 that I made from back then. Doug? Doug?
Doug!
Why is your footage so fucked up, Doug? My fucking DVD rip of Man of Steel from 2013 looks better than this.
But what?
And especially than his Man of Steel footage.
Point goes to the new.
Yes, very much so. Emma Stone should have played Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson.
It's all tied
And they
up
could have
it
either
comes
made a
down to
clone
the
out of it, or they
Let's
could have
wrap
just
up
not
Old versus
addressed.
New Spider-Man with Best Spider-Man.
Okay? I'm wondering what Doug's biases are going to do here.
Keep in mind, he referred to Tobey Maguire's version as Teary Maguire.
Yeah, I have a feeling Doug's biases are going to fuck everything up here.
Yep, they are.
Now this one you know you have to give to Tobey Maguire. He's the perfect geeky, awkward teen of the original comics.
Really? Because I thought Andrew Garfield captured the confident, joking, smart-ass superhero of the original comic.
And that
That's
wasn't
not
the
the
original
original.
comic, but yes, he
So
did.
maybe neither of these captured Spider-Man completely.
That is the stupidest fucking compromise I have ever seen. I'd say that both of them did it perfectly fine both ways.
Peter did start
Yeah.
off as a weak nerd who would suddenly turn into the city's greatest hero.
But after he turned, he became a cocky smart aleck spewing one-liners left and right.
Yes, and that's part of the thing that Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't do outside of the Avengers films until the last one.
So, somewhere in between...
This looks like a shitty TV movie. How does this look
Yeah.
like a shitty... This looks like an episode of... No, this looks like a behind-the-scenes episode of Doctor Who.
these two, there's a perfect Spider-Man representation trying to get out.
No, go over to fanfiction.net and archive of our own if you want to see these two Spider-Men put together.
Yeah.
Do you lean more towards the sympathetic loser, or more with the triumphant badass?
I mean, he's kind of both, depending on which scene he's in.
Now, to both
Yeah.
their credit, each one has dabbled in the other persona. Maguire certainly has a few badass moments, and Garfield definitely...
A few badass moments. And you show him confronting Carradine for killing his uncle, and him fucking stopping the train in Spider-Man 2.
Even though
Do
there
you
are
call
plenty of
those a
other
few?
badass moments.
Those would be the triumphant moments of any good character's career.
has his socially awkward moments. Both have their disadvantages too. Maguire, for example, is given way too many crying scenes and way too many moments of him being a doofus.
Wait, are you against males crying in movies?
No, I'm not against males crying in a movie, but good God, he does it at fucking anything. More than Sally Field does, and that's the queen of criers.
It's not like Garfield doesn't repeat a ton of cliches.
No, that's true too. Garfield's cockiness at times can get a little grating. I always wondered how many lives were constantly put in danger because he was too busy making jokes.
Did we really need a still image that emphasized his butt?
And also the harness that's underneath the suit. I can see the edges of it right here.
Rather than stopping him from running cars over with his truck. But the big turning point for me is that despite them both capturing how hectic and stressful it can be doing what they're doing, Garfield is evolving into more of a man. Maguire isn't.
You got me there.
Every time he takes one step forward, it seems like Maguire is taking 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I kind of came to not like the Raimi films over time, especially the last 2, but yeah.
Between being Spider-Man, not
because there's,
Spider-Man,
like,
being
less
with Mary
progression
Jane,
as
not being
time
with
goes
Mary
on.
Jane, being emotionally in control, letting his emotions make all its choices, and, of course, just... this.
Uh-huh.
God.
Whatever, man.
The dot crawl, the fucking coloring, oh my god.
By the end of the series. Garfield, though making similar mistakes, seems to learn more and more about the responsibilities of being a hero.
Doug, I hope you hated the MCU Spider-Man films, because if you didn't, dear God.
About that.
You're fucking kidding me!
I'm dead serious.
Captain, I learn everything twice, got his seal of approval.
Yep.
Oh my fucking god. The Peter Parker who repeated the same goddamn character arc in 2 movies and didn't learn not to be a fucking idiot is... Ugh.
Yep. Yep. Now you can see why, even though he says something that you very much agree with, he's still very much wrong.
Oh.
And tries constantly to put them into practice.
It
From
took
talking
him
a guy
3
out of a bad
movies to get to where he should have been at the end of the first one. No, to get to where he should have been in Civil War.
At least after he's Spider-Man.
At least No Way Home was good.
But yeah, how many times have we heard Maguire bitch about something? There's a sense that Garfield will always confront a problem and try to figure it out.
Yeah, I appreciate the usage of his ingenuity more, like his bounce back better.
At the very least, No Way Home actually gave us a scene where a Raimi man is using his ingenuity to develop something.
Dude, that was great. I love that.
Where Maguire seems constantly lost and having no idea which direction to turn. Garfield will just take any direction and somehow translate
He's taking scenes of Maguire or Spider-Man where the character actually is lost because he's processing certain things. Because at that point, he just learned of the true identity of his uncle's killer, and is now trying to go through his thought process on how to pursue him.
Yes.
And whatnot.
So I wouldn't exactly say that that's a valid criticism at that point. Video, I will be right back, but I can still...
Alright.
Forward, making the best out of any situation. If he sees an opportunity for something to help someone or make himself better, he'll take it. It's not a...
And risk several lives doing so. Oh, because many people all got either seriously hurt or killed during this scene, and people will still praise it over and it while criticizing the shit out of Man of Steel.
Always the right choice, but at least he's committing to something. On top of that,
Committing to stalking Gwen Stacy, while also disregarding the last words of her dad saying to please stay away from her.
Yeah, I have other gripes with that. But, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2
Maguire's so quiet
got
and
problems
so awkward,
too.
it's kind of hard to imagine him running around in an outfit like that. This guy is...
That's kind of why he wears the mask. The mask is there as a
That's
barrier
the whole
between him and
point
the
of a
villains.
friggin' alias. I mean, why do you think people don't see that Clark Kent is Superman? And because he's kind of a dork at work. Or people see the dork at the workplace who may or may not be somewhat awkward and whatnot, out or bumbling around like an idiot. And they're not going to think, oh, this guy is Superman. Hell, in Superman the Animated Series, is because of how sarcastic he is with Lois and how they're snippy snappy at each other. Or she doesn't take him seriously when he flat out tells her that he's Superman. She says, "You're a sick man, Clark."
so eccentric, so energized, and just a show-off that you can completely see him running around in a silly getup like this. He's kind of like a genius
wrinkled
who's
suits.
And that kind of ruins the illusion there.
thinking of ideas a mile a minute and creating them even faster than he can mentally process them. Of course he'd do something this insane. It's like if Steve Jobs was a superhero or something.
I mean, like, Steve Jobs wasn't that inventive, but
you.
yes.
The only time he quits being Spider-Man is after Gwen's passing. And fair enough, anyone would be thrown off after something like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the reason why
agree to some extent, but also, like,
the same time, Tobey Maguire's Peter was going through, like, some kind of existential crisis and trying to essentially, be able to do all of these things at once while also being Spider-Man. But the thing is that because he can't make up his mind, that caused him to have a little bit of a blockage in his web. Ebbs couldn't even climb walls. It wasn't until after he started to be a bit more honest with himself that he finally started to regain his powers and whatnot. So the point of him quitting being Spider-Man was essentially the fact that he could not make up his mind on what he really wanted to do.
It's just the stress of the job. And don't get me wrong, I can identify with that, but by comparison, you starting to see my point here? One quits being Spider-Man because his girlfriend died, the other one did it because it was just hard. Which one do you think is going the extra mile? Which one would you rather be? Which one would you look more up to? Which one would you put the most faith in saving the day? Which one would you grow up reading a comic book saying, yeah, I want to be like this person when I grow up?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Garfield, the superior hero.
No!
Sorry, Hyper Fangirl, but this Spider-Man is more interesting, more entertaining, and more thought-provoking. Point goes to the new, which means that the all-around winner is the new Spider-Man series.
Okay.
Whatever you say, man.
No! How can you possibly like the new better than the old?
Well, honestly, looking back at them again and in light of your commentary, it was actually much closer than I thought.
Really?
I used to think the newer films blew the original out of the water. But the more I look them over, the more I realize they both have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. Neither one of them are perfect representations of the Spider-Man stories, but they both come in their own unique way to some interesting interpretations. Some are for the best, some are for the worst. What I realize now about both of them is that they both tried their best to stay faithful to the material, but also tried to do things a little different while also being self-contained movies. It's hard to take an idea as silly as this and make it sell to a movie-going audience. But sure enough, we have 2 movie series that seem to have done just that. And both, in their own way, hit their own personal bullseyes. So, thanks again, Hyper Fangirl. You
I wouldn't exactly say they all hit their own bullseyes, considering that both of them got canceled.
actually did open my eyes up to a few things, and I'm glad we could do this as mature friends.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I could help.
Say hi to your... I don't know, grandmother, I guess.
Oh, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, whatever.
A friend. I guess that's all I'm supposed to be. A friend.
You listen here, Missy.
Oh God, like Kara.
But
Hi, Lewis.
friend.
And I'm your fat grandma, and you must avenge me.
You're not even dead.
Mind your own business. Now you gonna go after that critic or not?
Oh, Grandma, you always know just what to say.
Less talking, more stalking.
Right.
The heart, honey child. First you start with the heart.
All right, I think Doug came to some bafflingly incorrect conclusions over the course of these videos that we've watched here today.
Yep.
Let's fast forward real quick. I want to see the next all together. This is how long?
Well over 2 hours long. It's well over 2 hours long, and I don't think we're gonna have time to do all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I need to go grab something to eat, and I got stuff to do tonight. So let's reconvene next week, and we'll do as many of these as we can. Till then, we will see y'all later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, also, hi to Amin22322, who said hi. I don't know if you're a real person, and I'm sorry it took until the end of the video for us to acknowledge you.